Man, I always do my little like, woo! My happy dance. Anyways. Okay, guys. So for today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. I wanted to do an interview. It's actually going to be kind of a series that I want to do of interviewing people who are successful in life in general, but within like very specific topics as well. If you're watching on Twitch, I'm not going to be looking at you, so I apologize because my Twitch won't record, so I'm going to be staring at this camera. So to introduce the gentleman I'm with, this is Matt Mitchell. Matt, you can say hi.
Hello, this is me. I'm Matt.
Give a little flex so they can see that he knows. Big biceps. This guy over here makes me look like a little baby. So the reason why I wanted to talk to Matt is he has a pretty big, extensive experience and success within like the powerlifting community, as well as a little bit of bodybuilding, right?
Yeah, that's what I was doing before powerlifting.
Okay, so bodybuilding, powerlifting. So the idea of like interviewing people for me is a little bit different because I want to interview somebody and be able to give like some knowledge and maybe some advice and also some like obviously some entertainment as well, but be able to help people if they're interested in the powerlifting or bodybuilding community and be able to kind of like said like maybe give them motivation or just some practical application knowledge. So kind of start, Matt, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, like your little bit of background in like powerlifting and kind of just like go real quick like little bio for everybody.
Quick fitness background. Grew up in Montana. You know, I was bucking bales and shoveling snow and was very active and physical even as a kid.
Okay. You
know, so my whole family grew up that way. We were a bunch of loggers and rock pickers and crab fishermen and just very physical people. You know, it came from a family where I get my ass kicked by my older brothers all the time, basically. You know, wrestling around, having fun. You know, they're like friends of mine, but they're like family, and I got tired of it. You know, 11 years old, I started working out. I got a pull-up bar put up in my bedroom door, and every time I'd walk through the door, whether it's to go to the bathroom, get food, it didn't matter what it was for, I'd do as many pull-ups as I could. Okay. If I couldn't do a pull-up, I'd just hang from the bar. You know, and it progressed over the years of me just working out to look good and get stronger to actually having a goal. You know, then I started bodybuilding. You know, by the time I was 16, 17, that was my plan, was I wanted to be the greatest bodybuilder in the world.
Okay.
Well, that fell through.
I was saying that obviously changed, though.
That fell through. Okay. You know, I did 3 bodybuilding competitions. I took second in all of them, and I competed men's, not teens, as an 18-year-old,
okay,
17-year-old. After that, you know, joined the Marine Corps. I was down in California during 2010, basically 2015 and 2013. A buddy of mine down there was like, hey, man, you're putting on some big weight. We thought about powerlifting. I had no idea what powerlifting was.
Okay.
I just knew lifting to be strong and lifting to be a bodybuilder, and that was it.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a sport to it. And so he goes, no, basically you just lift as much weight as you can, these 3 lifts. And, you know, he got me into it. A few months later, I got out of the Marine Corps. I stole a car, drove 8 hours, and did my first powerlifting meet. Okay. You know, I took third in it. It was at a Mark Bell Super Training Gym. It was a pretty cool meet. And I was hooked. I was hooked on the idea of hitting PRs. It made me feel good.
Okay. That's cool, though. I like it. So within like the bodybuilding, was there like a real reason why you like switched or transitioned? Like, was it like you just didn't want to do it anymore? You didn't want to do the diet, or was it just like you felt like powerlifting was your thing and you just
I had more fun with it?
I would say more fun. Okay,
you know, I enjoyed it. It made me feel good to hit a PR, to hit a new weight, to do something I'd never done, and I realized I had, with the size of my waist genetically, you know, with the way that I'm built, I have a lot better opportunity to be a great power lifter versus a great bodybuilder. I could probably start bodybuilding again and do well, but I would never be the best. Okay. I would never be top 10. I'd never be, you know, a big name.
I got you.
Whereas powerlifting, I can excel in.
So that's kind of like the name of the game for you, is like to be the best at whatever you do then.
Whatever I do. I don't care if it's checkers. I don't care if I'm playing my kids at a game. I'm going to do whatever I can to be the best all the time, period.
So I would say kind of like for yourself, like you didn't like, I wouldn't say you quit bodybuilding, but you definitely like, okay, like I can't be the best at this, but I love doing this in general, so you found a different path of what you could be the best at, basically.
Yes.
That's dope. I like
you know, that. And I still bodybuild. You know, I still, after all my powerlifting movements, all my accessories are high repetitions like a bodybuilder. Okay. You know, I still want to have good size, good shape. You know, I don't want to be a fat ass, basically. You know, be strong and look strong. You know, look strong and be strong. I don't want to be one of those guys that looks really jacked and can't move a fucking pound. Or one of those guys that can move a lot of weight and their belly's just fucking big and they look like Santa Claus.
So how many pull-ups can you do now, since you said when you were like a kid, if you couldn't do one, you just hang? How many can you do now? And how much do you weigh? So like I can kind of tell people like, okay, if this guy weighs 200, what, 230, 240?
I'm walking around about 230 right now.
Okay, so if he's 230, how many pull-ups can you do? So you can't tell me you can't do a pull-up.
Dead hang, you know, palms out between 35 and 40.
like kipping pull-ups?
No,
or like
kipping. These are dead
pull-ups?
hang, just knock them out. You know, I don't even practice pull-ups, but maybe once a month, but I do so many barbell rows that I they make my back strong and my hands strong enough to hold the weight. So
okay, like that's dope. So for yourself, what's like the biggest or greatest achievement you've had either recently or in the past, like in powerlifting? Like what have you actually accomplished? Like titles, records, awards, whatever it may be.
At the time, 904 was one of my squats, and that was number 2 to have ever been on the planet, number 2 in the world, regardless of federation, anything forever. And then 925 was the same thing.
So basically what he's saying is that number 2 in the world, period, regardless of
what
weight, everything.
No, regardless of federation. So all in the 242 class.
Oh, okay.
But any federation and as far back as humanity goes, right?
Okay, so literally for your weight group, it was the second strongest ever.
Yes.
In the world.
And then I did 925, and that was the second strongest. And then I actually did, my favorite squat I've ever done was a front squat. It was 950 pounds. It's the biggest front squat ever. That's my favorite lift I've ever done. I've done 1,000 pounds in a meet in a suit. I've done 950 raw, but 950 front squat was my biggest accomplishment.
That's pretty crazy, actually. Do you have like a special piece of equipment or something you were using?
Yeah, I was using a harness.
Okay.
So the weight would sit right here on your collars instead of on your back, and you just hold the weight up here and you squat down. It's a lot more athletic, a lot more difficult on your upper back as well.
Okay. So how many competitions have you done like in the span of you being in powerlifting? Or like rough?
25-ish.
Okay, are they mostly like in Texas? Or
I've done any California, Texas, Minnesota, Iowa, a little bit everywhere, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I travel a lot for meets. I go to California most years to compete. I go to Minnesota almost every year I used to, so it's all over the place.
Okay, so kind of from what you said though, like obviously you didn't start out as like a super juiced, jacked, handsome guy. So like what were some challenges or like adversities that you faced to get from like where you started to where you are today?
Man, I was 125 pounds when I started.
Oh, really?
Yes.
125?
My biggest adversity was never work ethic. It was never trying to learn or trying to gain knowledge. It was lack of food.
Okay.
Lack of food, man. Growing up, we just couldn't afford enough food.
Yeah.
Like once I was really into it as a junior, senior in high school, once I got a little more developed, we just couldn't afford the food to get bigger.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be a lot bigger now if I'd have put more effort into that, if we'd have basically had more outside of that injuries. But a lot of them are stuff I brought on myself. I've had 2 major injuries now.
So that's a good question I was going to ask you later, but like what are like some of the injuries that you've had again recently or maybe in the past as well?
And injuries kind of come with this sport, mind you. I've had 4 torn hamstrings, none of which were from the bone where I had to have surgery, so it was like 8 weeks and I was good to go, and I've always come back stronger. But recently I tore my pec off back in October, and that was a full tear where I had to get surgery, and that fucking sucks, man.
How'd you do that?
I was dumbbell flying 140s. So I did 120s for a set of 10, and it was pretty easy, and I went to 140s, and the first rep just ripped right off.
So what he's saying again, like just to clarify, is he's not bench pressing 140-pound dumbbells. He's flying 140-pound dumbbells, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's just in case anybody's like, oh, he's only bench pressing 140s. No, he's flying it. That's fucking crazy. You tore it all the way off.
All the way off. The tendon ripped off, the muscle torn in half. I had to get a surgery. I don't know if you can see the scar there. Big little scar coming up here. But
that's crazy. So what about you said your legs too?
Yeah, my quad, man. I just actually popped my quad like 6 weeks ago. And what it is, lately I've been dry. I haven't been on any anabolics. I haven't been running anything, and so I don't have a lot of water in my body. And so even though it has all the horsepower it did before, all the strength, it doesn't have the cushion and the durability.
Okay.
Right? So it can move the same amount of weight, it just can't handle it yet.
Okay, so it's kind of just like strength's still there, but like the actual like...
It's like imagine turbocharging a motor, but forgetting to put block guards on to keep it safe.
Okay, that makes sense. Can you unlock your phone again though? I know it's kind of random in the middle of this, but he's got all the questions on his phone for me so I don't get lost because I have a hard time sticking on to like what I'm actually talking about. So right now, because I think it's another thing that's kind of interesting to people out there, is how many hours a week do you normally train? Like how many hours a week and how many days a week? Like, I guess, sorry, 2 parts. This is what I'm talking about. To get to where you are now, and then how much do you do now? Like, is there a difference between the two, or?
Huge difference.
Okay.
And I feel like I probably trained, I'm not going to say overtrained because I think that's bullshit, but I think I probably, if I would have trained a little bit less when I was younger, I'd probably be bigger now.
Okay.
But I would train so much that I couldn't eat enough, like I said, to be able to grow on it.
Yeah.
So I train right now 4 to 5 days a week, usually 4, in about an hour and a half to 2 hours a session. I'll do like a Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday split, something similar to that's usually my best. That way I can still enjoy life.
Okay.
I was training 6-7 days a week for years. Years. As many hours as I could put in the gym, and I got shredded and I looked great, but I didn't have as much strength. You know, I missed a lot of family events. I missed a lot of just life in general, and I realized that as much as I love lifting, as much as I've dedicated to this, I still have family, I still have friends, I still have other stuff I don't want to miss out on.
Okay. So do you believe that overtraining is a thing?
I think under-eating and under-sleeping is a thing.
Okay, so not working out too much is the problem. It's not eating enough food and not actually, like, sleeping enough.
In my opinion.
Okay.
You know, in my opinion, because it would be pretty hard for somebody to actually achieve a state of overtraining if they're eating and sleeping enough.
Okay, so basically you're recovering, essentially putting enough food, recovering fast enough from sleep to like keep up with whatever you're doing.
Yep.
Okay.
So like a lot of people who want to gain weight or gain size, when they talk to me, I'll ask them, hey man, how much are you training? 6 days a week? Why the fuck are you training 6 days a week, dude?
Okay.
Like why? When do you get to rest? When do you grow?
At night.
When you're resting.
I'm sleeping, yeah, after
you grow when you rest, you grow when you're
sleep.
eating, when you're not burning calories. When you're burning so many calories, you're working so much, it gets really hard to eat enough food to grow.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're a natural guy. You know, you throw drugs in there as well, it's a whole other ballgame.
Still, you still got to obviously sleep.
You still got to sleep and get the food in.
Okay, so this is a good question for people that are watching out there. Because I think one of those things, someone sees someone like you and like, okay, I want to look like that. Or maybe they think like, I want to look like that, but I never can get there. Like, what do you think is like a realistic time frame to like get to where you are? Like, how long did it take you? Backslash, like, let's say somebody's like, okay, I don't want to be as strong as maybe you are, or maybe as big as you are, but I want to like start working my way towards that. Like, how long do you think? So for yourself, and how long for somebody else?
Everybody's going to be different. That's a very huge question. Genetics are a big thing. I don't care what anybody says. There's some people who have really great genetics and do things phenomenal that other people can't. And there's some people that were just born with shit.
So like Michael
is.
Phelps and me.
All right, so you have somebody...
if we're both swimming.
If we're both swimming, right? It doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to be Michael Phelps.
Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't matter what the fuck I do, I'm not going to dunk a basketball like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I got
It ain't going to happen, right? So people are different things, you know. And let's take drugs out of it. You know, for instance, I started as 11, I was 125 pounds. By 19, I was over 200, I was 205 drug-free.
So you have good genetics, though.
Yeah, so I had pretty good genetics compared to most people I know. Now, I know some people who have been training 10 years and they still haven't reached the 200-pound mark, and they do everything right. Okay. I see these people bust their ass to eat enough food. They're doing all the right things. You know, so that's a big question because genetics are probably the biggest role of that.
Okay.
We've all seen that dude who can walk into a gym and eat a dumbbell, or look at the dumbbell, you know, when he's up 20 pounds of weight.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck did you do, bro?
Okay, so what do you think for an average person with average genetics, like realistic time frame to see some like actual progress in the gym? Maybe like see your bench press go up, maybe you put on like 10, 15 pounds of like lean muscle mass, like how many years, not months, not weeks, how many years do you think that would actually take? Like for an average person?
I think the average person, if they're just starting out, they can probably gain 8 to 10 pounds of lean muscle and notice huge differences in the first 3 months.
Okay, so
now after that 3 or 4 months, you know, and it could be different. Some people could get these new gains for like 6, 8 months. But in my humble opinion, I think after that 3 or 4 months, you know, doing all the right things, it's going to slow way down.
Okay, so you like,
expect to gain a pound and a half of muscle a month.
So like newbie gains and then like
newbie gains, you're going to explode, man. You're going to feel great. You're going to get hooked. You're going to get addicted, which is exactly what you need. Because if you were to receive normal gains at the beginning, everyone would fall off. They'd be like, "Fuck this, man. Why am I doing this?"
Yeah.
You know. So after the first 3, 4 months, expect maybe a pound and a half a month.
Okay. So for someone again who like maybe wants to look like you or just know a little bit more about you, I guess as well. What does like an average day of eating look like for Matt? Because I think I actually know this question before I ask, so like I just want to like let the audience see into like the life of someone who's a big guy, 240 pounds, pretty fucking lean, who's powerlifting, killing it every day. Like how much food, and don't listen to what type of food necessarily for your own advice, like for yourself, but like what type of food and how much food are you eating
as an individual, man. I mean, I eat a lot of food, and I know guys eat more than I do. But I'll wake up, you know, I might have some egg white protein powder with like 80 to 100 grams of protein in it, with like 4 oatmeal packets, and I'll mix them all up, drink that down. You know, come midday, I'll have a big bowl of Chipotle, and this is almost every day on the work. A big bowl of Chipotle with double white rice, double black beans, quadruple steak, guac, cheese, and pico. That comes out to like 2,000 calories.
So for one meal, 2,000
One
calories.
meal, yeah.
Okay.
And then in the afternoon, before I go home, I usually have like a fruit smoothie. You know, in the evenings, once I get home, between like 8 and midnight, I usually honestly just eat as much as I can of everything.
Okay.
I'll have like one big old bowl of noodles usually. You know, my wife will usually have like half a pound or a pound of meat ready for me, whether it's chicken or steak or whatever it is. You know, potatoes, rice, and then I just eat as much as I can. I'm taking in 5,000 or 6,000 calories a day.
Okay, and that's an average day.
Average day.
If you're training for a meet, does that change? Like you're eating more food, less food?
If I'm training for a meet, no, it really doesn't change, honestly. It doesn't change too much. I don't cut weights for meets. I won't do it. I won't try to gain weight for meet. For me, I just try and get as strong as possible. And if I feel that I'm at a point where my body needs to eat more and get bigger, then I will. But I've been as heavy as 260.
Okay.
And it didn't do me any good. It didn't give me any more strength being that big.
Makes sense.
So between 225 and 245, for me, give or take 20 pounds, is where I feel the best.
Okay. So for you, what's been like the biggest like motivator to like stay focused, stay consistent, whether it's a person, a thing, a goal, like what's been like that motivating thing like in your brain to like keep going through adversity and like 10, 15 years of like being in the gym?
I just want to be the best there ever was. That's it, man. I want to be the best there ever was, and I want to motivate all my friends. I want to make all the people around me better than I am.
Okay.
You know, and I like being somebody that my friends and other people that I see in the gym go, hey, man, how do you do that? Hey, bro, like, what do you do? I'm like, all right, come here. You know, let me bring you to my factory and teach you a few things.
I got you.
And I can help people around me develop and be greater than I am now. The longer that I'm in the game, the more people that I can positively affect.
Okay.
So I want to stay in this as long as I can.
That makes sense. That makes sense. You said like injuries is kind of a thing, so you got to kind of like work around that and everything as well.
Yep.
Is there like a person though maybe who you like have looked up to, like who's a strength athlete, an Olympic athlete, bodybuilder, anybody who maybe like was like a motivating thing when you were younger? That you're like, I want to look like him or be like him. Maybe.
Zahir Kudirov.
I don't know who that is. So you're gonna have to give me like a quick wiki.
He's over from like. I want to say Russia. Don't quote me, man. I don't want to fuck this up for you. I want to say Russia, man, but I remember it was like 4 or 5 years ago, even in the 275s in the gym. He's the first man to squat 1,100 pounds raw.
Okay, wow.
You know, and he's somebody. He's like my height. You know, I weighs about 25, 30 pounds, but he's just a fucking monster, man. He's not lifting these dudes who are like 350, 400 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah, and to me, I like that. You know, I don't give a fuck about a weight class. Okay. I don't care if you're in the 135s or if you're in the 275s. Strong is strong. Period. The biggest insult in the world to me is when someone's like, bro, you're strong for your size. What the fuck is that? Strong for your size. That's like being like, hey, bro, you're strong for a little guy. You know that? You know. So to me, I just like, cause he's just strong, man. Doesn't matter what weight class you're in. He's just a strong ass dude.
Have you had somebody say that to you though? Honestly, have you had somebody?
Not in a long time. No.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't think at this point in time they're like, no, you're a big boy and you're strong. So I think we're just gonna leave you alone over there. But you think for like people who are like maybe getting into powerlifting, they hear that sometimes where it's like you're strong for how much you weigh, but not compared to.
A lot of people don't mind, man. A lot of people like the pound for pound strength.
Okay, makes sense.
But I just look at it if I'm in a real life scenario. Like if somebody tries to jump my wife or myself or my kid or something.
Are you gonna be able to defend yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, like, good thing I'm the strongest 135er in the planet, bro. This dude's 165 pounds and he can whoop your ass.
Yeah,
like you never touched a dumbbell before.
That makes sense. Makes sense. That's a good way to look at it. So I have to ask you another question that like I've like thought about how I want to ask, and like I'm gonna disclaim it right now, just for anybody who actually watches this. Realize that this is not going to be any advice that Matt's giving. Matt's not going to give you advice that you should actually use this for educational, entertainment purposes only, or whatever the other fucking people say. Just because I don't want anybody to be like, well, Matt said this is what he does, right, so I'm going to go do this, and then they fuck their shit up. So you said earlier that you're dry, so I kind of want to talk about that. So what is that dry? What does that actually mean?
So I've been off of anabolics since August.
So basically, the adult vitamins, you've been off of those.
Off of everything since August.
Okay, and I don't know if you mind me asking why.
Trying to have a kid right now.
Okay, so
I'm taking a bunch of HCG basically, so my nuts start working again properly, and you know I can produce a kid.
So you don't have to give me dosages, please don't, just for people out there so it doesn't really be stupid. But like on average, what do you normally take, or what does an average strength athlete take?
There is no average for strength athletes. There's not. I've seen strength athletes that are ridiculously powerful, more powerful than I am, take almost nothing. Okay. And people think they're pumped full of shit, but I know these people personally.
They just naturally are like...
They're just strong people, man. Okay. A lot of big guys don't take as much drugs as you think they do. Okay. That's one thing I've learned being in. Some do, but most of them don't. Okay. For me, a little bit of test throughout the year would be something normal, and then maybe 8 to 12 weeks out, throwing some Deca, and 4 weeks out, throwing Supergel or Halo. Okay, so nothing like too crazy. Usually two injectable products, and then I'll throw in one oral the last 4 weeks. Okay. And that's it. Outside of meets, I just run tests. Okay. I've had times where I've run cocktails with everything you could possibly imagine in it. When I was younger, and I learned over time, man, that doesn't do you any good. A lot of times, it's just detrimental effects. Okay. You know, you're wasting money and you're wasting product, and you're feeling like shit. Okay, that makes sense.
So this is another question that I wanted to ask. I didn't even write down, but it's like in my head, and like I feel like I just want to like put it out into the universe so people can hear it from someone who's a big boy and like who knows, who has a lot of friends in this industry that are big powerlifters, big bodybuilders. Like, you know, a lot of people, obviously. Yeah. So how many people on average do you feel like in an actual like gym setting who are like bodybuilding or trying to be bodybuilders? What percentage do you feel of them like are like actually use like anything at all? Like if you had to like roughly estimate it,
maybe 10%.
So you think only like about 10% of people? Okay, so what about like, this is the question, like again, like someone who wants to become like a professional powerlifter or a professional bodybuilder maybe, do you think that for most of them there is some drug introduction at some point in time?
At some point, everyone's introduced to it at some point, or everyone is around it at some point if you're in the fitness industry long enough. To try to appropriately answer that question, I think that if you look at a leaderboard, or if you look at the records of all the powerlifting weight classes, out of the thousands and thousands of people that are in those books for all the weight classes, probably less than even 10% of them are on shit.
You think so?
You know, you look at maybe the top 10 in each weight class.
Okay.
Those guys, most of them are probably going to be fucking juiced. You go and you look, man, a lot of the numbers really aren't so... I hope they're not taking drugs.
Okay.
I don't think anywhere near as many people take them as people think in the community, because there's so many strong guys that don't need it. You know, and there's people that don't want to put their body through that shit or not have the money for it or are scared to inject a needle in them. You know, it's not... There's a lot of people, if you're in the community, you know a lot of people that do it, but compared to everybody that's lifting weights, no, maybe 10%.
Okay. Do you think that there's a difference between the powerlifting community drug use and the bodybuilding community drug use? I think it's pretty much the same. Okay.
The drugs get you bigger and stronger.
Okay.
Regardless of what you're taking, that's what most of them do. They help you recover, get bigger and stronger.
I won't talk shit about anybody, but like maybe no one knows who these people are, and that's okay. So you think like a Phil Heath, the Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, like they were all taking them?
Of course.
So that's what I'm saying. So like the pros, like those are the ones.
Oh, like, I'm sure the majority of pros are. Yeah.
That's
if they're a bodybuilder stepping on a stage and they're a professional, they're taking gear.
Okay. What do you think about like, I don't know, because I don't know how much background you have in it or how many people you still know, but like what about like a local competition? Like do you think that they're stepping on stage?
If they're winning, they're probably taking it.
So people that are like higher up,
if they're bodybuilding, specifically more in the bodybuilding than the powerlifting community, I think if they're winning, they're probably taking it.
That was my whole point of me asking the question. I just didn't want to tell him what I thought without him answering.
No, I think a lot of powerlifters, you know, when it comes to stepping on stage and winning, man, it's a different game. Yeah. You can get really strong without drugs. You can't get like a fucking peeled, grainy look, you know, without them. You can get lean, you can look sexy as fuck, but you're not going to look like you're made out of granite without drugs.
So basically, like, when you're, like, negative 5% body fat, you're not doing that naturally.
Unless you're Mike O'Hearn, no.
Okay, I just wanted to, like, get that out of there. So, as far as for yourself, like, you obviously train some people as well as being in the sport. Like, what is your process for, like, building a program? Or, like, what would you recommend for someone who's starting out as far as, like, building a program, like, if they want to do powerlifting?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Okay, so like, give me like a basic, like, okay, if you were going to be like, okay, we want to work on back today, what would you recommend for like a basic strength training rep sets? I don't want you to give away everything, but just like a general, like, quick, like, idea.
Say maybe deadlifts for, you know, maybe 4 or 5 sets of 4 to 5 reps.
Okay.
You know, a little bit heavier weight, maybe a couple sets of doubles in there. Barbell rows, maybe 5 or 6 sets of like 8 to 12. Either hyperextensions or good mornings for 4 or 5 sets of 8 to 10 weighted. And then I do band pull-aparts or rear delt flies every single day. Okay. I train rear delts and traps every single day no matter what.
Okay. Any reason why?
Because they look really cool in their
So when you're walking down the hallway, people are like, oh, shit.
You see somebody with big-ass shoulders and traps, you're like, man, that dude's fucking yoked.
That's true. It's one of those things you do look at all the time.
Yeah. So I usually do a big compound with a couple of isolation movements, 3 to 4 movements. Don't need much more. Okay, so what if you're someone who, because I've heard it, I don't know, obviously, powerlifting's not my thing, that's why Matt's here. So I really don't know, but I've heard a lot of people telling me, like, in the gym, when they train for powerlifting, it's like, they do however many sets they're going to do, but it's like 1 to 5 reps every set, and I don't know if is that like some people may work for, man.
That's what I'm asking.
A good way to tell if a program works or not is if it's been around a long time.
Okay.
If there's a program and it's been around 10, 15, 20 years, it's probably because it works. You know what I mean? You look like Strongless 5x5, Madcap 5x5. You look at Westside Barbell. Any of these methodologies that have been around and withstood the test of time, you know they work. Okay. It's not about the program most of the time. Not all the time, but most times it's not about the program, it's about the person. Okay. You know, I could write you could slap together something that's half shit, and if you work your ass off at it, you probably make good results.
Okay.
But I can give you the greatest program in the world, and if you slack off or you don't do the right things, it doesn't fucking matter.
Okay.
So it comes down to the person, not the program.
Makes sense. It makes sense. It's kind of like with everything in life, like what you put into it is what you're going to get back out of it. As far as for like yourself, like, I asked you another question on here. I don't know what I'm going to say. Oh, yeah. Okay. So like, what does the powerlifting community look like? Like, is it a tight knit community? Is it more like a little bit more rivalry? People don't really hang out. Like, what does it look like? 'Cause I know like for like CrossFit, it's kind of like that little like tight knit. You're a CrossFitter, so we like CrossFitters and we're like this. So like, how is that for powerlifting?
I think for the most, outside of USAPL, I think for the most part, we're kind of a grungy, fun group to be around.
Okay.
You know, it's not like a bodybuilding show where you go and it's very elegant and it's very quiet. You know, it's a little classy when you walk in.
It's also like really competitive at those shows. Like
Right.
they don't really talk to each other.
They
They're
don't
just
talk,
like,
they're
fuck you.
cutthroat,
I'm doing.
man.
Oh yeah, exactly. Okay.
Whereas powerlifting, you know, people are yelling and screaming. There's chalk flying everywhere. There's loud ass
cheer
music.
people on, yeah.
You know, if I'm going against you and we're in the same weight class, as long as I'm not like right before you, we're next to each other, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna scream at your ass to make you fucking lift.
Okay.
You know, I don't want you to fail. I don't want to beat you because you suck. I want to beat you because you did your best, I did your best, and I just happen to be better.
Okay.
You know, and it's something where you can maybe drop a weight or get hurt, and I'll still go help you off the platform for friends.
Okay.
You know, it's a lot friendlier community. People can get along. You know, like for instance, I got my wife Jennifer into the community, and she's met so many people now that she's friends with that she didn't know.
Okay.
That we're living within a few miles of us.
Okay, that's cool.
You know, so it really brings a lot of people together. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your race, ethnicity, sexual orientation is. We're all there for the same thing.
To have a good time.
We're all there to just get strong. Yeah. You know, so we all can relate. You know, lawyer can take off his thing, officer can take off his badge, the fucking thug can go put the gram of coke away or whatever. You know, they can all get together and have a good time. It doesn't matter.
Okay, makes sense. That's cool though. I like that. I like the community vibe. So it's kind of similar to CrossFit where it's like it's kind of a tight knit community.
Yep.
That's cool. I like it. So I wasn't gonna ask you, but you just mentioned it. So now I'm gonna mention it because I know I know a little bit about it. So your wife got into powerlifting.
Yeah.
Did she do powerlifting before she met you, or
No.
Okay, so how has that experience been for her? Like, what has she accomplished in the sports? Because I feel like I remember you telling me she's done some cool shit too. So it's kind of like
She's
this is this proof Matt knows his shit, so he knows what he's talking about when he programs people out.
I started coaching Jen back in as friends first, and we started dating and so on. But back in 2017,
Okay.
March of 2017, she'd never done barbell work before. You know, so I got her under a bench press.
Sorry, she just said it sucks.
Her bench is like 65 pounds. You know, her deadlift was about 185 and her squat was about 185. You know, here we are a few years later and she's squatted 475 in meet.
Oh, wow.
Deadlifted 455, I want to say it was, and she's benched over 200 pounds.
Okay, that's awesome.
You know, so she's got the state record for a total, which is the combination of your squat, bench, and deadlift.
Okay.
She got the state record for a squat. And I want to say deadlift, but don't quote me on that one.
So basically she like owns Texas right now for her weight.
For her weight class, she's cleaned house.
That's
Yeah,
right.
she's very, very gifted and real strong, man.
So here's another random question I wasn't going to ask, but like it popped into my head. So here we go. Do you feel like women's powerlifting is more competitive as far as like there's like more people that are like in it and like it's more like close as far as like the weight brackets go? Or do you feel like for men it's more like five? So basically what I'm asking is like 5 pounds could be the difference from like you winning a meet or losing a meet. Is that like going to be closer in men's or women's, or like how's the competition like fair?
Depends on the meet.
Okay.
Depends on the meet. There's I've seen meets where there's 30 women and 20 guys, and where there's meets where there's 40 men and 10 women.
Okay.
You know, so there's some meets where it's all men, and I've seen women only meets.
Oh, okay.
You know, I've seen women only meets where they're going back and forth by a fucking kilo each squat.
Okay.
You know, it depends on the meet and the lifters.
I might have to interview you, Jen, because I have another question I'm going to ask Matt. So if you don't like his answer, then you can comment and I'll read it out loud. Do you feel like there's any maybe like a stigma or stereotype for women who are like getting into powerlifting or bodybuilding? Like, and do you have any advice maybe you can like maybe give a woman or a lady who watches this and is like, I want to get into powerlifting, I want to get into bodybuilding, but I'm worried what someone's going to say or think, or like just maybe some like words of advice, or maybe just like a fuck you to people who are going to be assholes, obviously, but like, have you noticed that at all? And like, if you have,
I haven't seen it as much where, you know, I've seen it where, especially because I work at LA Fitness, I've seen a lot of females come and they're scared to hit the barbell weight because they don't want to walk out of the gym looking like a man. Yo, unless you're running a bunch of shit, you're not going to get super jacked.
I was going to say, which we both know is not an actual thing.
That's not like, it would take years. If you could just walk into a gym and lift weights for a couple months and get fucking huge, do you have any idea how many jacked ass people there would be running around?
That's a good question.
Like, it's the silliest thing in the world when I hear females say that. 'Cause it's like, it doesn't just happen overnight.
Okay, I got you.
That's something that I hear and fear a lot of, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, It builds you a fat ass. It tightens your waist. Like, why wouldn't you do it?
That's true. That's true. And also, you're just gonna be stronger, feel more confident. Yeah. So another good question, because I don't know the answer to this one. Do you have like a favorite gym or gyms you've trained in, either in Texas or in the country? Just because I just think it's cool to shout somebody out, and also maybe if it is local, or if you have one local and then statewide, so someone could go check it out and be like, okay, I want to go look at this gym and give it a look.
I got a handful of them, man.
Okay.
I've been to a lot of gyms throughout the country. Los Campeones in Minneapolis, the original Los Campeones off of Franklin, fucking dope, man. One of the baddest gyms I've ever been to in my life. Southside Athletic up in Minneapolis, and then down here in San Antonio, there's 3 absolutely incredibly elite gyms. The Pit off 8505 or 8506 Speedway Drive, Heavy Metal Fitness, and Joe's Gym.
Okay.
3 best gyms in town for strength athletes.
Okay, so kind of like more like old school vibe, a little bit more like...
A lot of heavyweight, iron, loud music, chalk flying everywhere, man. People are in there to work.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. So those are the gyms that he would recommend, obviously. So what about favorite cheat meal? Like, is there something that you're like, I know you already kind of like said like what you eat, so obviously it's not necessarily a cheat meal, but is there something that you're like, after a meet, you're like, I'm gonna eat this because this is what I want to fucking eat? I don't know, is there something that like...
Ass.
You can't. Is there anything else out there that you're specifically like, this is like, okay, maybe not your cheat meal, maybe like a favorite meal that you like to have after a meet to like reward yourself or something? I don't know.
I love sushi.
Okay.
And I love steak and lobster. Surf and turf. Man, me and Jen eat a lot of surf and turf, a lot of steak and lobster.
Okay. Okay, so surf and turf and sushi. You got any good sushi places you like here? That I haven't been to maybe?
No. Man, I just found my all-time favorite place like 2 weeks ago with Jen, and I can't remember what it is. Is that her? Don't be scared. Get educated. Get someone who knows their shit. Damn it. Okay, Jen, I wanted the sushi restaurant we went to that day. Okay,
so we'll wait for Jen to answer that question for Matt. So what is like your recovery plan look like? I know you said sleep, but like supplements, obviously how much do you sleep? And like, is there anything else you do like for recovery, foam rolling, stretching, I don't know, any type of therapy, anything like that at all for recovery?
I stretch a little bit before workouts, and then I do stretching after every workout.
Okay.
Mostly revolving around my pelvis because I squat and deadlift so much. Okay. So I do a lot of, I'm really big on warming up, making sure my muscles are firing properly before I train. You know, so that's one reason I was getting hurt when I was younger, is because I wouldn't make sure my muscles were firing properly. I wouldn't warm up. I'd just get under the barbell. Okay. You know, so prehab, keeping yourself from getting hurt is one of the biggest things that I've done as far as recovery goes. Man, I get 8 to 10 hours of sleep pretty much every night. Okay. You know, I get enough food in. My big thing is just making sure I eat enough red meat and making sure I sleep. Okay, makes sense. If I eat red meat and I sleep, I'm good to go.
So no like foam rolling or any other witchcraft like that?
Not very often. I do get a shout out to Hassan down at the Pit. I do get massages from Hassan about once every couple of weeks. Okay. Mostly, again, working on like my pelvis area and then my shoulder blades because my back has a hard time firing sometimes.
Okay, so like a little bit of
deep tissue.
Okay, that's
not
nice.
Something gentle. I mean, if we can actually break up the muscle tissue, and it makes a big difference in your recovery, your health. You feel good. Your muscles are more full. You can move more weight.
Yeah, makes sense. So what about like leading up to a competition? Like, how do you prepare? Like, how do you train? Is there a difference in any of those things? Like, does anything change when you're leading up to a competition? Like, or is it just the same mat, same food, same everything? Or do you change anything at all?
I don't really change the food. Okay. Because if what's working for me is working, why would I change it? Okay. I basically peak and repeak throughout the year regardless, so my training doesn't change too much. Okay. The only thing is instead of doing sets of like 4 and 5 on squats, I'll start working up a lot heavier with sets of 2. Okay. And a lot of sets of 1. Specifically on my squats, that's about the only big difference. And then, yeah, I don't really change too much, to be honest.
Okay, so pretty much
after meet I'll do my change, and that's about 4 weeks. I won't do much barbell work at all. Okay. 4 weeks after meet, I'll do mostly cables and machines and all light bodybuilding to get my joints a break.
Oh, okay, so kind of like to
my bones
recuperate a little bit.
Yep, okay. My body just rests, and then after that, it's back to the barbell stuff.
Do you Okay, so maybe another good question. Do you amp up the weight as you get to your competition? So like that's what changes.
I'll start like 8 to 10 weeks, 12 weeks out or so. I'll do a lot more sets of 4 and 5, and then even towards my back down sets will be 10 to 12 when I get closer to meet. It's all 5 or less. Okay. And then a lot of sets of 2s and 1s. Okay,
makes sense. So like that's pretty much everything else stays the same because it's been working. But you start putting your weight on is what it is for like the actual like movements. Yep. Okay, that's cool. I like it. So it makes sense. Like it makes actually pretty good sense. Like,
yeah, train how you compete. All my reps will be singles.
You should say that again. Like that's the thing. Like I preach a lot is if something's working, don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up. Yeah, it's like and I've seen this in somebody else's podcast and it made a lot of sense. I think it was Dave Tate's where he was talking and someone was saying how they felt great. You know, can I add another day to their training program? It's like, no, you're feeling great. Why'd you fuck it up? You're already feeling good. Don't add another day.
That makes sense. So keep it simple, stupid. Again.
Simpler the better.
Okay, I got you. So what do you do aside from obviously work, lifting weights, and spending time with your family? What do you do for fun? Like activities that you do?
Watch a lot of anime. I'm a huge anime nerd,
okay.
man. I got Majin here. I got Kenpachi from Bleach. I'm working on Mewtwo and Hisoka tattoos right now. Then I got 3 dogs.
Okay.
We spend a lot of time with the dogs. I got a service animal who's a pit bull.
Okay.
His name is Spawn. My wife has an anxiety dog, Bella the boxer, and then we have a little pit bull English bulldog mix.
Okay. So you got like another little family within the family.
Yep. Outside of the wife and kids, you know, my family, that's what we do. We hang out with the dogs. We watch anime and play video games.
That sounds like fun. So another good question for people that are watching this who are getting maybe getting into powerlifting or want to get into it or maybe just interested. What would you be like a piece of advice or maybe a couple pieces of advice or recommendation for someone who's just starting to get into it? Like anything that you'd say like, hey, do this, don't do this. Like just like a real beginner who's like thinking about starting to do powerlifting, who maybe wants to get to where you are.
Stay well-rounded.
Okay.
Train your legs. Eat a lot.
Sorry, that's even if you're a bodybuilder, train your legs.
Stay well-rounded. Train your legs. Keep it simple. Eat a lot of food.
Okay. So that'll be the 4 pieces of advice.
Yep.
Okay.
Eat a lot of food, man. The simpler the better. Like I said, you can get huge. Like you can get jacked and well-rounded off of just dips, overhead press, barbell rows, bench press, lunges.
Okay. So like
and squats.
just from that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost all of my training revolves around nothing but those movements and variations of them.
Okay, so I have a good question within that then. So someone who's new into powerlifting, maybe doesn't necessarily know how to program it 100%, would you recommend them doing like a single body part for that workout? Or would you recommend them doing like multiple body parts for each workout? Or how would you, if you're brand new and you don't really have a lot of idea, what do you think is the best? Full body? I don't know, like that's kind of what I'm asking you.
I do a squat day, a press day, and a pull day.
So like
a deadlift day, a bench day,
so like
and a
push-pull legs.
Yep. Push-pull legs. So it's working the whole
what?
body. Maybe push day, day off, pull day off, leg day. Maybe do 3 days a week when you're first starting out. I think 3 days a week for your first few months, you can make an incredible amount of progress.
Okay.
You know, don't beat yourself up more than you need to.
So you can actually recover fast enough.
You can recover, yeah.
Okay.
And then after that's not working anymore, then throw in another day.
No, so
Once that doesn't work, then throw in another day.
You're gonna be sore as fuck though too when you start.
When you first start,
it makes sense to have more time to sleep.
Everyone that I work with, I usually start off 3 times a week if they're just getting in the gym.
Okay.
And if they want to work more than that, the other day or 2 is just cardio. It's not weights.
So you have them do cardio though too. Something else I talked about before. So cardio is an important thing even for powerlifters.
Even for powerlifters. I'm not saying you need to go sit there and run a fucking mile, but get on a bike, man.
Okay.
Get on a bike for 20 minutes. Go walk your dog. Just walk, be active. Make sure your body is moving.
Yeah.
You get stagnant, man. You get tight. You have all these injuries that come up, issues, imbalances, things like that.
That and also you don't want like your heart or lungs to be
you want to be
shit
healthy
when you're trying to like move some weight.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I like that. No, a lot of people out there like in the bodybuilding and powerlifting community, I know that they'll be like, "Oh no, I don't fucking touch cardio. I don't ever do cardio," and I'm like, "You're gonna die."
I do very little, mind you. Most of my cardio is
sex
sex in the bedroom.
But you're still doing
But
it.
yeah, we'll get on our bikes every now and then, or we walk the dogs every day, things like that.
Okay, so another great question. What's the craziest thing that you've seen at a meet or in the gym? Or maybe craziest or funniest, or if you have 1 or 2 good stories, just like something that was like, holy shit, I couldn't believe this happened, or I can't believe that someone did that, or whatever. Don't use any names though, because I don't want that to come back to me.
Buddy of mine broke his forearm multiply benching. Multiply is like a suit you wear. It keeps your body tight.
Oh, okay.
And it's a much harder way to bench press. Very, very, very difficult. And I want to say it was his first 800 or 900 pound bench attempt. I can't remember. And his forearm broke during the bench attempt.
Holy
Because
shit.
it couldn't handle the weight.
Like it shattered.
Snap.
Snap. Did someone like catch the weight, or did it just like...
It came down and they caught it and pulled it back off.
No.
But it's terrifying.
And you saw that?
And then I've seen...
You saw that at the gym?
Yeah. I've watched, not at the gym in a meet. I've watched I've watched a handful of guys drop 500 plus pound benches from here straight on their chest. And they're just, the bench damn near touches their spine. It sinks so far in.
That's bananas.
Let's see.
Have you had a funniest moment for you, aside from like, not crazy, because I know your injuries were crazy, but like a funniest thing where you were just like, I did something stupid, or I saw something stupid at the gym?
Yeah, I've had a couple of times, man, where I got done with like a third attempt deadlift in a meet, and I just straight look at a judge and I'm like, I just shit myself. I got to go to the bathroom. And then they look at me like, what did you just... I'm like, yeah, man, I'm sorry, dude. And I'm open and not even trying to hide. I'm like, yeah, I just sharted.
I gotta go. That makes me laugh. That's actually really funny.
I've had a few of those happen, yeah.
I've seen some of those videos on YouTube too. People doing like the crazy leg presses, and they just like you hear the noise, and I'm
blast
like,
away, man. You put 1,000 pounds on your back, man. See what happens. It's gonna happen.
So I guess the last thing I would ask you, like, this is something like that I think is kind of maybe not just in powerlifting, but life in general, because I know that you kind of actually have you tell them. So I'm not telling you your story. Like your background as far as like work has been. Like, what have you done? Like, what do you enjoy doing? I know the answer to this question, but for you to kind of like tell people, so I can ask my next question that makes more sense.
Started kind of my work career after high school as a Marine Corps infantryman. After that, I went to an animal shelter, and from there it was straight into sales. You know, and I've been selling the last probably 8 years, something like that. I actually worked obviously with you at Gold's Gym for a while. You were the GM, I was the AGM. We were selling memberships. You know, and I'm over at the gym at LA Fitness, and I love it, man. I love working in a gym. I love selling, even more than the gym itself. I just love to sell. I love to talk to people, to communicate. You don't care where you're from, what your beliefs are, what your religion is, who you're having sex with. I don't care if you're cool. I like to meet new people.
I got you. So this is the question I was trying to get to was, as far as like holistically speaking, like, do you have any things that you could like share with people out there of like how you've been successful, how you've stayed motivated, like just any tips that would like help somebody who's watching this, like not necessarily with even just powerlifting or bodybuilding, but like in general life, like things that have helped you stay motivated, stay focused, stay committed, like just for people out there, regardless of what it is, maybe.
I know for me, you got to find that reason for yourself. You know, you guys have to find that for yourself, because I can't tell you what it is. It's going to be different for everybody. For me, it was once I got a wife and kids, you know, once I got a family, I realized I had to step up my game and put more effort into it. Because if it was just me at the time, my mentality, I was okay with being, a small rundown place with making a little bit of cash I could to pay the bills, and you get a wife and kids, you're like, man, I want them to do better than that. Like, I feel bad, you know?
Yeah.
And so they're a big part of my motivation. And then once I got a taste for making a little bit of money and having a little bit of success, and I'm not top of the world, but I'm paying my bills, you realize, like, man, life's just easier.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels better. You got to work really hard, but it's nice to be like, hey, babe, let's go to dinner.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go to a hotel this weekend with a water resort for the kids. You know, like, just do whatever we want to do, and we can.
Because you can actually do it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So put in the extra time, man. Just you got to realize what the end goal is. You know, and if your family or your goals, whatever it is important enough, then working an extra few hours a day shouldn't bother you.
Okay, so basically it's kind of like finding
your why.
Motivation.
Finding your why.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. So I guess my last question, just so you can share with everybody out there, if somebody wanted to contact you about powerlifting, coaching, has any questions for Matt directly, could you share like your information if you want to? Obviously,
yeah, no, that's fine.
Reach out to you.
Instagram, message me _King Bulldog _
King Bulldog _
Yeah.
On Instagram. Okay.
I don't use my Facebook or any other social media platforms, so don't message me on there.
So as far as it goes, it's pretty much what I have, guys, for the actual interview with Matt. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to say or go over, or any questions for me. I don't know. That'd be kind of weird, but maybe you do. I don't know. And then if anybody wants to ask any live questions, you can feel free as well. I have a real hard time on Facebook being able to actually like scroll back through because like the video gets all messed up. So if you have any questions and you're watching now or anything like that on either platform, feel free to like throw those in there before Matt gets off, because pretty much the whole idea of the question and answer is if you have any questions, no filter, Matt will give you his honest response or answer to the question. So, and if I don't see them now, I'll go back through and I'll send them to him, and then I'll have him give me the answers and I'll put them in the comments since he doesn't use Facebook. so at least I answer them, but Matt doesn't have to like actually like use Facebook to get on there.
My only thing I got to say is stay persistent. That's it. Stay with it. You know, like I said, I was 125 pounds when I started, and I think that maybe not everybody's going to get to be really big, but I think pretty much everybody can get to be very, very fit and have some good muscle size and strength to them. You know, everybody has the ability to do it if you just work really hard. It doesn't matter what your girlfriend says, doesn't matter what your mom says, your dad says, your boyfriend says. Just stay on it.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's work, whether it's learning a new language, whether it's training, just stick with it.
So consistency is key to get to where you're at, basically.
Yep.
So essentially what I took away from it was, if you want to get to some level of success, regardless of what it's in, but even with what Matt's doing, powerlifting, bodybuilding, it's just being consistent day after day, year after year. I didn't ask you, but I'm asking you now. How long has it been that you've been training for? You said it was like, what, 10, 11 years now?
No, 18.
18 years?
18
Holy
years.
Shit, just kidding. So yeah, so it might take you a long time to get somewhere, but if you want it bad enough, like you can
You'll
work
get
your way
there.
up to it. That's what's important, actually.
You know, you talk to a guy who's got a, say, 1,000-pound squat or 800-pound bench, 700-pound bench, whatever it is, and you ask him how long it took him to get there, he's going to laugh at you. Because you're going to say, hey, man, I'm 35, so it's taking me 35 years to get there. You can't expect it to... expect it to be an overnight thing. It's something where you got to just pick. You want to make $1 million. You can't do it in a year. Maybe you can, but it's going to be something that's going to take you 10, 15, 20 years
to build up to. That makes sense. So one more question because I forgot to ask during the thing, so I apologize. I'm going to ask Matt one more. As far as for yourself, do you have a goal for yourself within powerlifting or just within powerlifting or bodybuilding or fitness in general? I don't know, maybe you want to own a gym someday. Anything like that. It's like a fitness-related, long-term, 10 years down the road goal for Matt.
I'd like to get my bench back. That's one thing. I'd like to get this back to where it was. Lifting goes some really big goals of mine. I've deadlifted 770 in the gym. I want 805.
Okay.
I really want to pull 805. And I've back squatted 955 raw. I'd like to get $1,000.
Okay.
I've done $1,000 in a suit, but I'd like to do it raw now. And then overhead press. I've done 405 for a double. I'd like to get to 455 for a double.
Okay. And those are how long do you think it'll take you to get to those numbers? If you're being honest.
A couple years.
Okay. So
could be squat could be in the next year or so.
Okay.
Bench could be in the next year or so, depending on how this recovers. I don't know because it's my first full tear. And then the overhead press, same thing. It all depends on this.
Okay.
I don't know so.
Spam call. I don't answer that.
Unknown name.
It'd be funny if you gave out your number in the phone call. Ring like that right after. It'd be hilarious.
Probably bill collector.
So do you have anything else within fitness? I don't know, aside from lift totals, do you want to win a certain meet? Do you want to set a certain record? I don't know. A lot of people I talked to before, not live, obviously, or I want to own a gym someday, or I don't know, something along those lines. Anything else in that realm that you want to do?
No, man. I mean,
Okay.
I'd like to create some world record holders.
Okay. That makes sense. So you want to own?
I'd like to coach some world record holders. No, I don't feel like owning a gym.
No, I was gonna say, do you feel like owning LA Fitness? That's what I was gonna say.
Man, I'd change a lot of things.
Okay, I got you. If you guys are in San Antonio, though, just so I can shout it out so y'all can come check him out before you go to another LA Fitness. Matt works at which location?
7427 Northwest Loop 410, behind Cheddar's next to the Academy.
Do you know the phone number for the gym off the top of your head?
911.
That's too bad. It's too bad that you don't know because it'd be hilarious. Someone just called so I saw Matt on a live video. I wanted to see about coming and checking out the gym. But yeah, if you want to go check them out, get a membership. Obviously, regardless of what your goals are, the gym's always going to be a positive thing. If you just want to look prettier, that's my goal, then that's what you can do. So that's what I got, guys. I don't actually see any live questions right now that I can actually see, unfortunately. People are joining the chat, but I can't actually see anything. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut this off. If you guys do have any additional questions, feel free to, if you want to reach out to Matt directly, that's dope, especially if it's within regards to powerlifting, strength training, or coaching, because I'm not going to have answers for those questions because that's why Matt's here again. Feel free to do that through Instagram. Or if you do want to ask any questions about anything that we did talk about today, or you want both of us to kind of give our insight, put them on here, put them on Twitch, put them on YouTube, and I'll ask Matt directly, and I'll put them in the comments in one of these formats for you guys. So thanks, Matt, and I'm going to kill it right now, brother. You want to give him one more flex, though, before I go?
Look at that. Need a pipes right there.
Wait, hold on. I think I have one. Oh, dang it. We do have a question.
Ooh, what is it?
So you can read it. So you got to read out loud, though, because they can't.
Opinion on pre-workout, protein powder, Bcaas, for someone just starting out. Are these necessary? In my opinion, no. Food is always going to be the best. If you're just starting out, you should probably be motivated enough to not need pre-workout, especially if you're just starting out. Protein, there's a handful of good ones out there. If you're going to take a powder, I do recommend Viking Strength supplements. They have an egg white, all natural egg white protein called Stormbreaker. 100% bioavailable, all organic. There's no added fillers, no junk, no shit in it.
Okay.
So something's be high quality. It's not filled with trash.
Okay, makes sense.
Outside of that, have a coffee.
I think I can agree with the pre-workout part, especially as far as if you need energy, you could have a coffee, Monster, something like that. You don't have to have all the other crazy shit in a pre-workout, especially when you start. Yeah. The one thing about the protein that I would say, do you have a time that you think it's best to take it, or because I know some people will sit there and say when they're new, that they want to take it, they take it 3-4 meals a day, and I don't think that's optimal from my opinion. Do you think it's best post-workout mainly, or do you think it's more of I don't have time to eat, so I got shake real quick, or what are your opinions on timing?
Food is always optimal.
Yeah, of course.
And your body's recovering 24 hours a day, so whenever you can get the protein in, it's going to be used for muscle recovery.
Okay.
Your body's always recovering. And I could be wrong, I could be full of shit, but I think that 45-minute post-workout window is stupid.
Okay.
I rarely get food in me within 45 minutes post-workout. Maybe I should. Maybe it'd be better if I did. But I've grown to the size I am now without eating right away post-workout. So I think it might help, but as long as you're getting in throughout the day. You know, if you cannot get a meal in, then have the shake.
Okay. So what if you're somebody who, like, 'cause I know, like, when I was in school, I was going to school, you know, 5 hours, like, honest to God, like, 5 hours a day at college. I was working 40 hours a week and then going to the gym 2 hours a day. Like, I didn't always have time, so I would have a protein shake here or there if I didn't have the time to actually have a full meal. Like, do you think that's okay? It's better than nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, time dependent. If you need it, if you don't have the time for a meal, grab a shake.
Okay.
But if you have the time for a meal, get a meal.
So basically, like,
so it's great for on the goes. It's great for car rides. You know, if you've got let's say you're a businessman, or if you're working all day, or like my job, you know, as a sales guy, you know, I get time to eat for the most part, but there's times where I'm back-to-back appointments for 3 out 4 hours. You know, so whenever I can get in, I just got to go slam a shake real quick, and I can do that in 30 seconds and get, 100 grams of protein in it.
Yeah. As far as, like, the BCAAs, I will touch on that real quick just because of my little bit of research knowledge, since I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to stuff like that. BCAAs were shown not to be as effective as a lot of the studies out there originally showed. There's been more in this last decade that have shown that they're helpful, but the most optimal results as far as it goes is when they're actually paired with some type of, like, quick-acting, like, carb powder. So, like
Carbolin or something.
Yeah, actually has some on my cover. But you want to mix the Carbolin and, like, the BCAAs together to get the most benefits, and they actually want you to sip on it, like, mid-workout all the way to the end, and you'll actually have a faster recovery. Because their idea is, like,
it's riding the carbohydrates.
You're putting in your bloodstream while you're training, so it's not protein, it's not anything heavy, so it's, like, literally dissolving in your blood as you're sipping on it. So, like, you're getting, like, a steady stream of, like, carbs, sugar throughout your whole workout. So, like, keeps, like, your strength up a little bit, and also just it starts your recovery immediately because your body's not processing your stomach, it's just going into your bloodstream. So, but again, as far as, like, for a beginner, I don't think it's necessary though. I think, like, kind of what you said, if you didn't watch the beginning, you can always go back and watch it. But Matt kind of touched on, like, the beginning. You have those beginner gains, so your first 3 to 6 months, like, you probably could have no supplements and, like, just
eat food and work out, man. Eat food and work out. You know, have a good time with your friends while you can.
But yeah, it's pretty much what it is as far as, like, the supplements go. I don't think there's really anything else. I like pre-workout, but I don't take it anymore because my heart doesn't like all the caffeine.
I like it if I need it. You know, if I'm having a day where I'm dragging ass, feeling like shit, I'll slam some pre-workout. But outside of that, I try not to rely on it. Okay. You know, it's a supplement, so it's used to supplement what I can't get on my own.
I think that's another thing too, actually, to throw in there is, like, it's especially, like, with a lot of things, what Matt just said is right. It's like it is a supplement, like, regardless of if it's a multivitamin, vitamin C, a pre-workout, protein powder. It's supposed to be, like what you just said, a supplement to, like, add in when you're not getting enough of whatever because you're unable to. But like what you said already, most people can get everything they need, especially when you're starting out, just from food, man. Sleep, and training. Yep. But yeah, so thanks for the question. If anybody has anything else before we go, just in case, I don't want to get off and then have someone throw a question in there, because, like, the thing with Twitch is it takes an extra, like, 15 20 seconds to register the question. So if anybody is watching and then I say, you have any last questions, and then we get off and then it comes up and I'm like, no. Exactly. So as far as, like, within, just because I'm going to talk about something, just last call for questions, and then I'm going to ask him one last
thing. 5 calls for questions.
And then I'm done. As far as for, like, yourself, like, I know you said you lived in Montana before, and then you got to Texas. What do you like about Texas, and why did you move to Texas in the first place?
I've lived a lot of states, 8 states now.
Okay.
I came to Texas. A buddy of mine that I served with, more of a brother than a friend, lives down here, and he just kept telling me how great it was. He goes, man, we got beautiful women, we got great food, we got good weather, strong fitness community, we're very veteran friendly, gun friendly, just come check us out. And he kept telling me. And finally I was at the point in my life, I'm like, you know what, fuck it, why not? And I had a habit of moving whenever I felt like it. I'm like, I'll just move as many states as I can.
But you don't have no wife, don't got no kids at that point in time. You do whatever the fuck you want.
Go throughout the country as much as I can, so that when I'm older and want to retire, I know exactly where I want to be. Because I've been everywhere.
I felt the exact same way.
And I settled in Texas, and I love this place. It does. I met my wife down here. We've got great food. I've met nothing but amazing people. I've met a lot of good friends down here. The economy is still great. Even with COVID going on, I can go do everything like normal. I just have a mask on.
Okay.
Other than that, I can do everything. I'm still working. I can still take my kids out. I love it here. This place is great.
Don't move here, though. Stay in California. Don't move to our state.
Stay in California.
Anyways, guys, that's what I got. Stay healthy and safe, and I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye.